So, we are all set up and ready to go. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory. So, last time we left off, we had just finished up our neural quantum processor factory, which is pretty cool. So now this time around, our goal is to start on the superposition oscillators, which I've done the planning for, and it is so much easier. So I am looking forward to that. However, before we do that, there is another sort of intermediate thing we need to do, and that is that our power is all wonky again. And the reason I checked that, and the reason that we need to do this before we do the superposition oscillators, is that we need dark matter crystals in order to make them. And a large quantity of our dark matter crystals are coming from power shards, which only run if we have ionized fuel going. So we're going to need to expand that. But while I was checking the power, I noticed that there's also a problem with the nuclear stuff. So let's head over there and see what exactly is going wrong. And also, I guess, see how close we are to a catastrophic waste pileup. Because hopefully we don't have to deal with a catastrophic waste pileup. But if we do, then that will be bad. Okay, so we drop down here. And down we go. So let's check the waste stockpiles first, just to make sure there's nothing funky going on with these. So, we have 7 of our rows full, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're like halfway through the waste stockpile, probably, although this one is pretty well filled at this point, so a little more than half, basically. So that's... it could be worse. Could be worse. It means that we should have plenty of time to make fixes. So let's make the fixes first. And let's see if we can find somewhere with better power access we can fly upwards. So let's see what's going wrong. And based on the fact that the waste is piling up and not flowing through, means the bigger problem, if there is a problem on the uranium side, it's smaller than the problem on the plutonium side. So let's fly up to the plutonium endpoint first and just see how we can work backwards from there. Although I see yellow lights here, so we can actually work forwards from this spot. So these guys are not getting enough sulfur. Okay, that's a straightforward problem to have. So this is the sulfur input. Are these belts the wrong speed? Because this is clearly, like, backlogged, right? So, yeah, the belts must be the wrong speed here. So that's probably a big part of it. So, what are they? These are 43 each. Right, so these are moving like 80 some. So that needs to be Mark II. And that one is Mark II, so we got that one correct. Then that needs to be Mark II. And that one is already Mark II. Alright, so that should fix it, assuming that these are Mark IIIs and this is a Mark III. Yes, so I think that should fix the sulfuric acid input problem, hopefully. As long as we don't also have like an unrelated shortage of actual physical sulfur, which we probably won't, because it was so backlogged. We might have to check it, but I'm leaning towards that this was the singular problem here. So now we have enough sulfur, and we're now producing sulfuric acid. So this can go up this way, and now we just have to check. So the only thing upstream of the sulfuric acid is the non-fissile uranium production. And so that, if we head down here to these yellow ones, I assume they're going to be sulfuric acid shortages? Yes. And that should be getting sorted out. So obviously it'll take a while for it to flow through, but it should get there eventually. And I don't think we're going to have pipe speed issues with this, although I don't know exactly how fast are these. 37.5, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 37.5 times 8 is 300. Yeah, we should have nice clean double the pipe speed that we need. So these are faster. So there is something else upstream of the sulfuric acid, but it's just this. It's just that, which takes 50. Alright, so that's not an issue. So all of this is going, and it looks like these ones on the end are at least currently running. Haven't quite caught up yet, but they should be getting there. And the annoying thing is that it's going to be hard to tell if there are other problems in here. Hopefully it was just that one, but it's going to be difficult to say for certain. So we need this. We need that to fill up entirely, and then these guys to get up to their correct rate. And it looks like they're very close. So that got up to like 5.9-ish. So now with a bit of a head start, it should be fine, unless it's somewhat inconsistent rate. So that time it was nowhere close. Okay, so yeah, the rate is somewhat inconsistent, either because of sloshing or just because of when the inputs get made and when they get used. But we have plenty of spare throughput capacity, so it shouldn't be a major issue in the long run. So this is still not getting anywhere. I don't know why that is. All of these guys are filled, right? Everything on this side is completely saturated. Yeah, so everything on that side is completely saturated, which means that it's just these two remaining trying to get the excess sulfuric acid. And now this is going up to like the 18s, so it's still being inconsistent, but at this point it should have evened out, I think. So yeah, you're now running properly, and then this one looks like it's doing the same, and these two should receive approximately the same amount. And we could always just put a loop around here to prevent sloshing from being an issue, but I don't think it's going to be an issue anyways. So yeah, let's move on from that, check if there's any other problems which isn't directly caused by that, and there are definitely going to be all sorts of other problems which are directly caused by that. So let's go over here. These guys are short on plutonium pellets, but that's all upstream of this. So we're going to have to wait for this to run a little bit. Let's see, how long does it take? These guys make 125 uranium per batch. And it goes on a super fast belt, so this delay here should be quite minor. And then it all gets split across into these machines, which should be back up and running again. So let's just check that these have Mark II belts. Yeah, they do. Alright, so that should mean that the supply of plutonium pellets is now back up effectively. The calculations haven't figured that out yet, but it is. That hit above 100. So this is all going now. And now let's just ride this belt over, and by the time we make it there, it should definitely have made it across to these machines. So this is approximately how long it takes before that upgrade there makes its way down to here. It's a bit of a roundabout path on a Mark IV belt. Okay, so now we are into this whole splitter area, and the splitter is super fast, but then we do just have Mark I belts past that, which is probably fine. Yeah, it's probably normal. So then this looks like it's back up and running at 100%. Or at least very, very close to it. Let's see, this should tick up to 4 right beforehand. Yes, it does. Alright, so the encased plutonium pellets are now going out at normal rate. And we have this whole convoluted setup here. And then we have this is showing 139. What should it be doing? So we have some amount going in, and we then have a Mark III belt in there. So we have 210 on this belt, 30 on this belt, so this should be 240. No, unless I'm doing something wrong. Is this not... Oh, right. So this is Mark II. So it's 120 plus 30 should be 150. And it looks like it's 150 like half the time, maybe. It should be getting up there, though. So these gaps here, unless this is just a repeating pattern, the gaps are getting smaller over time. So as this loops around, it should... I think it's just a matter of like getting this internal belt here up to its full speed before we can do all that properly. And now this is going. And again, it's just sort of a matter of how long it takes for the upgrade to propagate through. We're not quite there yet on this one. We still have the occasional hiccup, but it seems to be mostly fine now. Like it's at 150 like the vast majority of the time. And the rates of the hiccups here are definitely decreasing a little bit at a time. It'll take a while before it's fully up to speed, but it'll get there eventually. I'm not worried about it. Okay, so then we go up to here, and these guys still don't have enough encased plutonium cells. Let's just pop down and confirm that these are definitely all still working. Yeah, so they're showing up to 98% by now. So that's good. This just needs a little bit more time to propagate through. And it's up to 148 showing. And that's should be almost there. So then that goes up to here. Everything else here is massively overfilled, of course, which is unfortunate for us trying to figure out if it's 100% perfect. But it should be fine. It should be fine. So this is just our final plutonium fuel rod production. And it certainly is producing. Gosh, even max overclocked, this is slow. So that is certainly not going to be the world's fastest system. But if we hop down to here, this should be 150 by now. No, it's somehow worse than it was. We get a massive gap there. Don't know why. Are any of you guys showing more problems? You all still look fine. So I don't know what caused that massive gap. It's kind of concerning. So we could just, like, force this to build up properly. Although now it's showing a flat 150. So unless there are more extremely rare drop-offs, then we should be there at this point. So that is all good. And this is going and should be better by now. So that is plutonium power fixed. It'll take ages for that to completely propagate through. But in the meantime, power is maybe a little bit less wobbly, but I think that's just an illusion. I don't think any difference would have been made yet. Okay, so what we need to check now is the nuclear waste input. Because we've got all this nuclear waste, right? And because we think that this factory is running at 100% now, if we drop all the way back to the waste storage, we should see absolutely nothing going into the boxes there, because it should all be sent along. So let's hop over and see. We have... yeah, that is indeed what it looks like. So there's no new waste going into these boxes, so that is all good. So that is that power source fixed up, just that one easy fix, and we're good. Now let's respawn, because we have to go to another power plant. We have to go down to the blue crater to check on our ionized fuel to see if there's something going wrong there, or probably we just need to enhance the actual usage of it, because I think we never had a huge amount of ionized fuel power plants. Alright, so let's drop down to here and see what exactly is going on with this stuff. Okay, so here we are, and we have plenty of power shards and plenty of rocket fuel. Not enough ionized fuel usage is basically the problem here. So the first couple ones here are running, but like the vast majority of these guys aren't. And that is just because we don't have anywhere to put the ionized fuel. So what we need to do then is we need to add a whole bunch more of these rows of generators, and we need to coordinate like how exactly all this stuff is going out. How much ionized fuel is this in this pipe? So this is 40 each. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 40 times 20 is 800. So we have capacity to make 800 ionized fuel, and that is going up in 2 pipes, one on each side. And then we have all these fuel power generators here, which are running. Now we're going to have to do some big multiplication and counting to figure out how many of these we have. So we have 7.5 each, and the rows are 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we have 7.5 times 14 times 4 is 420, which means that we're using theoretically like half-ish of the ionized fuel production of this place. And that's assuming that they're all working properly, which it looks like they are. Yeah, it looks like they are. Okay. So, what we need then is to just, I guess, if we just make this another row over here, if we just pop that in, then it should be fine. Now, one of these guys, yes, we do have the blueprint. So if we just pop these guys in and don't fall off the side. So there we go. Now we power these rows up. And we just need to expand this out a whole giant bunch. And the reason we're doing this, it isn't because we need power. We've got plenty of power. It's because we need to burn our power shards, because the power shard production is a big source of dark matter crystals, which is a input to our superposition oscillator factory. So that is what we're doing here. Now let's get all these guys in, and I have no idea how exactly this is going to work out in terms of like doing all this stuff. We apparently need a whole bunch of materials for this, so currently waiting on rubber to finish this row. And we're going to need a whole bunch more rubber to finish the next row over. Okay, so that is that row built. Now we need to figure out, this just goes across basically, and right, weird stuff with the position these things are pointing, but it should be fine. So each of these rows is 105, which means that theoretically we could feed like 6 rows off of one pipe, although we don't have enough to do that entirely. We have 802 pipes, so each pipe just needs to fill, let's see, do these actually just connect across evenly to the other side? Yeah, so both pipes are connected up on both sides to all of these. Okay, so that makes it easy. So let's, while we're standing here, let's grab motors and grab some rubber so that those can build up in the background. And then what we need is we need to bring this pipeline across and all the way over to here. For now, that should be far enough. Then we connect that in. So now all these guys have access to their ionized fuel. And we need to power line them up so that they're all connected into each other and then into the main power production setup. Okay, and we did not remember to overclock these. That's a massive nuisance. Okay, so let's grab a bunch of power shards. I guess it's not like we're short on them, and we need to select take from inventory before depot. That's important. And we need to just paste some settings into all of these guys. So these all go in. And we just click paste a whole bunch of times until they work. And then we have to loop back around to do this row. And power supply should be going up a bit. It's always nice to have a little bit of excess power, and especially if you can get good use out of it. So, yeah, this has gone up a good solid chunk. Nothing crazy, but it's definitely better than it was. And, of course, the rocket fuel power plant over there is struggling with a lot of its rocket fuel getting drawn over to here. That's fine. No major issues with that. So now we just have to finish off this row. And then we're going to have to paste all the power shards in again and connect it up to the pipes and do both sides. Okay, we just barely managed to finish that one off. Okay, so that is in. Now we get pipe and in. There we go. Okay, so now we need to... Okay, wait, we need to get the settings pasted and we need to get the power lines connected up. That's a lot of steps to carry out. Let's just start by getting the power lines in. Just give it some time to maybe build up some ionized fuel storage. Alright, so that is across, and then is that connected in? Yes, it is. So now all of these guys are connected up. And it's just a matter of time until they get the ionized fuel. Okay, and then the other thing we need to do is we need to connect up this side. So let's get a junction on there. It's not how I would normally choose to build this, but it's good enough. And so that pipe goes along past you and into there. They're ever so slightly off in terms of vertical alignment. That's awkward. Okay, so I guess we just need this to come out and be aligned like that so that it works. There we go. Now everything is all good. Connected up from both sides. Now we paste our power shards in. And make sure we have plenty of them. And let's just paste both sides at once. We don't have to go back and forth as much. This is now in, and theoretically this should be consuming more ionized fuel than we're currently producing. So that should be good. It will cause a bit of inconsistency in all that, but it should work itself out. So we should be consuming 840 ionized fuel and producing 800. And then I can't imagine the rocket fuel is going to be the problem. However, the power shards, actually this is what I should have done from the start, is I should have checked how many power shards we produce and plan to use that many. So let's actually, where's the power shard factory? It's like over in this corner somewhere, right? Yeah. So yeah, that is going to be easier to respawn to get to. So let's head over that way. So we go to jetpack and through here. And very carefully avoid a whole bunch of terrain. And we're aiming for this thing over here. Alright, so we just fly on over. And here we are. Okay, so how many power shards does this make? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So we make 50 power shards per minute. This is showing 60 per minute somehow. Oh, I guess because a drone port just left and all these guys have massive internal buffers. So let's count that again just to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, so there are 10 of these at 5 each is 50 power shards per minute. Okay, so if we have 50 power shards per minute, I don't want to fly all the way back to the blue crater just to see the math on that. So let's just pop a refinery down so that we can look at it here. So, if we have 50 power shards per minute, that translates to 20 of these, which is yes. So this new setup should be capable of removing all of our power shards. Now let's actually call this center overflow left any, just so that this gets priority, because we don't really need the power shards for ionized fuel production. That's just a way of getting rid of them. So this is showing outgoing transfer rate of 208, which is certainly, I mean, it's more than enough. Alright, I think we are going to have to return to the blue crater. Unfortunately, maybe I should just set up hypertube cannons between those two spots because they are very much connected. But now we can just do the old respawn trick. And actually, we don't need to go around that. We can just go directly here. Shave some travel time off. Okay, so we have to make sure that the rocket fuel production isn't going to be a limiting factor here. Okay, so we are over here now. All of these machines are currently green. So is it just power shards and rocket fuel? The rocket fuel should be fine, right? How are we getting rocket fuel into this? Via 2 pipes. That's correct. That's all it needs to be. And let's see. If the 2 pipes are feeding in from the edges, then the biggest problem, if there are any, should be in the center. And it doesn't look like there are any issues in there. Alright, so that is all good. And then as for our power production, I expect we should see some flickering red lights over here. We don't quite yet. So it's just going to take some time because we had a massive surplus to begin with. So we should be destroying 40 per minute more than we're making. So it shouldn't take an insanely long time for this. Let's see, our supply of power shards here is still immense, though. let's see, there's no spare ionized fuel in any of these machines that I can see. Then let's just keep heading down this way to see if something is different, but it looks like we have, yeah, so all of these guys, no buffers to be seen. So any buffer is going to be very minor. What is this? This is the packaged ionized fuel, which we are storing some of. Okay, now let's actually just check over to this to make sure that these guys are all working fine. Yeah, so I see a bunch of green lights. Heavy oil, polymer resin are being produced at 100%, which makes me think that we're good to go. So obviously we have our red lights in the power production areas, but that's just because we're diverting it over here. So it shouldn't be an issue. Alright, so this... yeah, so these ones aren't receiving as much because it's just being transformed into ionized fuel and going over here. And all of these guys have stacks of 50 spare, apparently. So it's going to take a while. Okay, but yeah, some of these guys don't have those, so our power production should be just about right at this point. And that is all good. Yeah, let's set up a hypertube cannon pointing over this way. I think, wait, which way does it need to go? Just west, right? Yes, we just want a hypertube cannon pointing west so that we can easily travel between these two spots. Blueprint, hypertube cannon, and don't need anything fancy for this, just a very, very basic setup. Let's find a power pole in there to connect to. And off we go. So most of all, we need to gain height here. So I'm using a lot more rocket fuel than I normally do. Yeah, that cannon is not quite powerful enough for what we need. Uh-oh. Okay, I wasn't able to swap correctly on the first try. We still get, like, most of the way there, though. So now we can fly up and check out our power shard production, which should be in this area, just like a little bit north of us. Those random power poles just like midway up a belt are so incredibly goofy to look at. I don't know why I did that. Alright, so now we're up here, and we just need to fly over this way to get to the power shard production to just confirm that it's working from this angle as well, and then to check that we have enough dark matter crystals for our upcoming factory. Alright, so we are over here, and we can fly up this way. So you aren't getting enough output for, probably because this isn't running at full speed just yet. So that is doing its thing. This has a whole bunch of time crystals that it's doing stuff with to make as many dark matter crystals as possible. And we have... This isn't set up correctly. That needs to be left overflow for the dark matter crystals to go out. So we do that. That's all good. And we just need to make sure that the power shard supply is good. So these ones are still only running at like 10%. Because we have massive stockpiles of power shards over in these first couple of machines relative to what we're outputting. And this throughput monitor is obviously not very useful because it's just going to show either 60 or 0 depending on whether a drone is just stopped by or not. And speaking of which, the drone is here. And in order to produce enough power shards for all of the ionized fuel production, we will be using like the full output of all of these guys, so it should eventually balance out. I might like add an extra storage container onto here, just like back here. That might help it out a bit. See, the other thing to consider is that this is a Mark 1 belt, which is enough, obviously, because it's only 50, but it isn't enough for a massive surplus. So, like, we're only draining this by 10 a minute on average. Like, even when it's running full speed, we're only draining it 10 a minute, which is not super high. And it means that this, like, each of these stores 100, so it's going to be 10 minutes per machine to drain them, theoretically. It's obviously not a perfect calculation, but it's going to be something like that. Now, for some reason, there's a massive, like, these first couple are all in the 20s, and this last one is up at 100. So I don't know what's going on with that. But it is a little bit of an issue. Alright. If we make this... Yeah, I'm just going to put an extra storage container just back here. Just like... not even doing anything interesting, just like pop you into there. So now this... how is this getting... okay, no, it isn't getting overflow. It's just a cause of the delay. So now this storage container can take a whole bunch of the extra power shards out, and that will cause this all to drain, because the power shards aren't actually the thing we want. We want the dark matter crystals, which currently aren't going to be producing fast enough because we have too many power shards. So ordinarily you'd sink the excess here, but power shards can't be sunk. So we got to do the whole ionized fuel thing instead. And this is going pretty well. And that should be fine. That should eventually refill. Okay, so now we are getting the excess power shards out pretty well. And these are running at 100%, right? So the quartz crystals maybe are a bit low in this machine specifically, but I think it's fine. They're 60 a minute. So they're probably just speed balanced. Yeah, so they're just speed balanced, so they're always going to look a little bit funky depending on the exact circumstances. Alright, so that is all that. There's not much more that we can do here. I mean, we could upgrade this belt just to get stuff out faster, but I don't think that is going to be necessary. I think it should be fine as is. Let's head over to the dark matter source and see how it's going. So it has a couple hundred dark matter built up there. That's fine. And how many dark matter crystals does this factory produce in theory, like on a good day? It's 60, 120, 180, 240 dark matter crystals on a good day. Now, the superposition oscillator factory I have a plan for needs more than that, but it also does produce some of its own, so like it's probably fine. And we also have another, I think, 100 dark matter crystals from the neural quantum processor factory, which we can yoink those if we need to. I don't know why I just grabbed a quartz crystal off of that box. That wasn't necessary. Alright, so yeah, this should all be good. It should warm up. It's gonna take a little bit longer, and yeah, let's just get the belt speed upgrade through. So this should dramatically increase the rate at which these guys drain. Just doubling it would result in way more than double. So this just goes out to there. And we can even let this fill back up again, just to be sure on that front. So now we have 120 going out. And let's pop the throughput monitor back onto you. So that 120 output should mean that instead of draining at 10 per minute, because it's 60 minus 50, it should drain at 70 per minute, because it's 120 minus 50. Which means we should get there real fast. And hopefully that will also mean we get there before this box fills up. Okay, so this is going. That drone hasn't been back yet. It's showing outgoing transfer rate at 209 items per minute, which is well above the 50 that we need. So we shouldn't have any problems with that. Although it's tough to see where exactly that drone is. And I don't have drones selected to show up on the map, so I can't tell that way either. Is it like beneath us or something? They might go along the terrain beneath us. I don't know how the drone pathfinding works exactly. Okay, so this is all set up and running properly. It shouldn't be too long before we see this drop back off to a regular rate. So this one is almost empty. Back here we already do still have a little bit of belt slowdown, but it's definitely getting there. So this is going to crash from 60 per minute to 5 per minute out of this machine, for example. And that will cause a whole lot more to come out of these machines. And there we go. So now this one's going, and yeah, this just drains through. Produces all the power shards that we need, and actually most of these, yeah, so these last couple haven't had the room to fully boot up, but it looks like they should be by this point, I think. So this is 94, which means there should be plenty of room for the power shards to get made. And then we have our dark matter crystal output over here, which is this. Is there like any there might be a sink on the lower level. Yeah, there's a sink down here. Okay, that's good. I was worried we weren't sinking these, we were gonna run into the opposite problem, but no, it looks like we're good. So dark matter crystals building up over time. These are still struggling. I bet the drone port is filled. No, the drone port is still filling. So this is still going out at 120 a minute. I thought for a minute this had dropped back down to 60 per minute, but it certainly has not. And we have plenty of room in there. Plenty of room in there, although not quite so much. So power shards should be in the clear, like, basically any second now. This should stop. I mean, they're already, I think, producing at 100%. So I think we just don't need to worry about this anymore. So let's... Actually, do we even need to respawn? We need to design a new factory location where we need to get all of these inputs. So we need aluminum ingots, plastic, rubber, quartz, deuterium, water, and copper. And then maybe some time crystals optionally if we want to use them. Which I don't even know if we do. Because we do want to make sure not to waste time crystals. Like, we're running on a technically finite production of them. And so we do need to be a little bit careful on that front. So yeah, I think we're not going to use time crystals for this. So what you can use time crystals for is to make more dark matter. More dark matter crystals per dark matter you put into it, which can let you not have to produce more elsewhere. I think for this factory, actually let's check. Dark matter crystals. What do you get used for? Dark ion fuel. I have never heard of this in my life. Okay, it's an ionized fuel alternate which takes dark matter crystals instead of power shards. I guess, like, not super interested in that. And it's probably used for some late game stuff as well. And then the other things that we need them for are superposition oscillators and power shards, which we've already done. Now, the dark matter residue we are gonna need for fixonium. So we actually do need a decent chunk of that. Yeah, we're gonna need a decent chunk of dark matter residue, which is potentially gonna be a limiting factor at some point, but hopefully not. So, how many time crystals do we have in total here? This is 15 per machine times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can't count that high. Let's just pop a throughput monitor on here and see that way. Okay, so it's not 480. It's maybe 450. Yeah, looking like 450. Okay, so yeah, we definitely don't want to use 140 time crystals here in order to keep up with their superposition oscillator production, because that would be like most of the time crystals in total. I think still need them for other things. Alright, so let's go about finding a spot for our superposition oscillator factory. So we want copper. We don't need iron here, apparently. So we want copper, deuterium, and quartz, preferably. And then we import the other things. So there's copper there, but no deuterium. We can obviously just import the deuterium. Quartz there, copper there. We need 220 copper. This is only going to give us 150. No, wait. It should give us 300, right? It's 300 to 600, 1200 for the nodes. So that is enough copper. That's obviously enough quartz. And no deuterium, but that might be fine. So there's deuterium up there, and theoretically quartz, although we've used that already, and copper. Alright, yeah, let's build it up here. And there's also just the coast right there for water, so that's not an issue. And then we import our plastic, rubber, and aluminum. Alright, so yeah, we're going all the way up to the northwest. So So let's respawn and travel up there. So this hypertube cannon is arranged correctly. So off we go. And it's just somewhere up here, right next to the Northwest Quartz train station. And here we are. Okay, so we land in this general vicinity. Then let's swap over to the hover pack. Alright, this is the one part of the map where terrain is actually kinda close to us. So that's interesting. So yeah, the ideal position would be like right in here. So let's just have this go off a T intersection from the quartz. Just so we only have the one intersection instead of having multiple. So we are going to need train stations for this. So we get that in. Then we start popping down some foundation. And we're just going to not like that. Don't do that. Alright, so how many trains do we need? We need plastic, rubber, and aluminum. So 3 trains. 3 trains of input. Plus anything else? Okay, and we need a train of output, I think. Although these can just be droned, they're only 60 a minute. Yeah, so 3 trains of input, and that should be all that we need. Sorry about that. I had to sneeze. Alright. So let's get, I don't know, I'm in that. We have a hotbar for this. Okay, so I guess step 1, we need to actually make this intersection. So we have our tracks there and there, which we need all this stuff to hook into. Now let's see if I can figure out how to get this to work. So that is apparently too close, which is mildly annoying, but we can just go out like that. Alright, so that's the near side, and the far side skips across to there and to there, and then we don't need a direct connection across, right? Because we can just belt that because it's right there. Okay, so that is the intersection done. I assume that these guys are already set up properly for that, so no problem with that. And so then we just need a path signal there and a block signal there. That didn't break anything, so we should be all good. Okay, so this is the output, so it needs to run along the front like this. So you go like that, and then run along this way. There is a limited amount of space in this area, technically. It should be fine. We should have enough for 4 stations in here. Okay, so this goes back here, and just out of consideration for the space, this first one can start there. And then the second one, we just need to leave a little bit of space, pop that in. And we are going to need a couple more foundations over here. But should be, yeah, definitely plenty of room here. And while we're using concrete, let's try to use up a whole bunch of it, because you might need to recharge. And speaking of recharging, actually, let's grab wire. just so that that can recharge as much as necessary. Alright, so then that expands along there. Okay, so we need 2 more stations to be placed in, and then we can start expanding them backwards. So this can go like that. And then 1 last station goes in. Apparently we're hitting the ground. And we need you to line up. And we need you to give some space. And just like that. Ought to be good. Okay, now we run this railway all the way over to there. So then these guys can all connect into it to get powered and everything. That one and that one. Alright, 4 stations connected up. So we get superposition rubber. We get superposition plastic. And we have, what else was it? Aluminum. Superposition aluminum. And then we have superposition oscillator output. An oscillator source. Okay, so that is all in. All of these guys, let's see, all of these are solid inputs, right? No fluids, actually, is that right? Yeah, okay, there's a bit of water that goes into some of these, but no need for other fluids. That's pretty cool. No oil or anything that we need to deal with, or nitrogen. Okay, so that goes out. Then we just need to start popping in the freight platforms. So we get 1, 2. Wait, this doesn't need an output. What was I thinking? I'd already discussed how we can just drone this. So is there some other item which we want to bring in via train? No. So this train station just isn't needed, which means that we can cut that a little bit shorter and have that be fine. Alright, so that's all good. I was placing it, I was like, wow, it sure is silly to have all these freight platforms for just the superposition oscillators. And yeah, it sure is silly, which is why 30 seconds ago I decided that we weren't going to be doing that. And then instantly forgot. Alright, so these get their platforms as well. And then 1 more. The rubber. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So, let's see. We need all of the inputs that we're getting from the local area all combine up with water. So, it makes most sense to just start down there, do all of that crafting, and then bring those outputs up rather than having to pipe water all the way up to here. Also, we are going to need to actually check on our quartz supply because we are using it for something else. So let's head over this way. And how is the quartz supply doing? So is this like heavily limited? It looks fine. And we've got 2 pure nodes and a normal node. Yeah, surely we can find what... Okay, 800 is actually a lot of raw quartz. I guess because most of this entire production is crystal oscillators. 800 is a lot of raw quartz. It should be fine, though. It should be okay. I mean, at the present moment, at least, I'm not seeing any problems. We're going to have to swap back to jetpack just to make sure nothing weird happens with that. Okay, so now we've landed safely. And hello? Hover pack? There's a power pole right there. Hover pack, please. Is this power pole like not connected or something? Okay, this power pole is apparently not properly connected. That's interesting. Okay, I'm not sure how that wound up happening, but we can... Okay, this whole line here isn't connected. So we need to let's just get this power pole connected so that we can have power and hover pack around this general area. Okay. So now this is certainly connected, right? Yeah. Okay, so now that power pole isn't fake, which means that we can now hover pack around like normal. And yeah, we can see here clearly these guys have plenty of slack in them. Now, are these the only two outputs going up here? Where is this other... that normal quartz? What's it doing? Are we going to have to go down into the caves to track it down and see what's going on with it? It's probably being used for something, and I kind of don't want to mess with it too much. But I do want to make sure that we get maximum use out of it. So I believe that's it right there. And it looks completely stopped. So a normal quartz gives us 600. Wait, no, this isn't quartz. This is another purple thing, which also comes out of probably that same cave, right? Yes. Okay, so we need to get into that cave and figure out what's going on with that normal quartz supply. Because if it's not being used for anything or being used very little, then that's going to be a huge weight off my shoulders in terms of like how much we need to do. Alright. Can I just... No, this cave entrance is so hard to get through. Alright. We made it. It's very, very narrow. And there's a big, fast belt going through it. Okay, so let's just fly through all this. And we should eventually make it to the room with the quartz and everything. And see what's going on with all of it. Okay, so we are back here. We've got some SAM production, of course. And all of that. So these are the two pure nodes, right? And they're actually going 90% each, which is a little concerning for our ability to grab 800 quartz off of them. So then the other quartz belt is this one, which... Okay, so this quartz belt is doing nothing of interest. This is just providing silica and quartz crystals to Dimensional Depot. So we can upgrade you to Mark III. Max overclock you up to 600 per minute. And then we can smart splitter you, go left, overflow, center and right any. Alright, so now we get that up to a Mark 5, and this can be 600 quartz, which we otherwise didn't have access to. And so we can bring this out and use this one as much as possible, and then any excess quartz that isn't going to the train network from the other belts can also join up to make the rest. We should be able to get what, 170 some out of that. No problem. Although these are showing, now they're up to 91% and 95%. So hopefully that is just like a temporary thing. But it should be fine either way. Like, worst case, we just have to hook some other quartz up to the train network somewhere else, and then that will fix the problem. Okay, so this just needs to go up to here, and then straight up through the ceiling. Like that. Okay, so that's all good. Now we need to get out, which means we leave out this way, because this is the closest entrance. I think it's the closest entrance anyways. Okay, we're trying to run along the belts for speed. And sometimes they clip. But we should be just about through. Okay, so now we're out. We just need to get up and back to our quartz supply. So that was somewhere over this way. Gosh, the travel is so different on the surface as opposed to in the caves. Alright, so we just keep on going along. And up we go. So now we're over here. And if we just head a little bit over this way, we should see, yes, another lift sticking through the ground, providing more quartz. Okay. So now we have all of these guys together. We need to set up sort of a bit of a convoluted system. So we start with, okay, so we're probably going to be doing a lot of the factory here. So that is the factory floor above us. So the factory proper would be like just a little bit over that way. So yeah, we might as well start with, actually we should bring that down so that it's lined up properly. Actually, we can just yoink the floor off of this wall here. That should be fine. I think technically it's not like perfectly aligned, but it should be aligned relative to everything in the area, so that it's fine. Alright, so let's bring our foundation over this way. And then we need to get these guys up. So you need to go up a little bit more in order to reach this level, like that. And then you can pop onto the foundation there. So now what we need is a priority merger. So we want to mostly take from this one, and then take a little bit from the other two. And they are going to just get smart splitter, smart splitter. And this will be right, overflow, right, overflow. So then these come up to here and up to here. Now, because of the way these work, there's going to be long periods where they have no overflow and long periods where they're almost entirely overflow. So I think we want them to have storage containers that they feed instead of just going directly in. And let's just do it like that. So when the train station up there is filled, these will fill these storage containers. And then when the train station up there is empty, then these storage containers will supply the excess quartz. So this... Alright, these need to merge, not split. So let's get a merger in here so that we can get a little bit from each, not overpull from one. And then this is, I grabbed from the wrong output of the merger. So you just go into there. And we should be all clear. Now, I still don't actually know if this is enough quartz supply, but hopefully it is. It should be close, right? So we need 170 per minute on average out of these two, and we're going to be getting 600 a minute perfectly stably out of this one. So it should be fine. Let's hop up to the top and see what's going on. Oh, right. These power lines are fake. Okay. Swap to jetpack, and up we go. So there we go. Land on that, and keep on going up. Should be able to skip one of these little resting points. There we go. And we just keep on moving. Okay. We should be able to make it directly from here without any difficulties. Gosh, okay, I messed up those words. I was trying to say difficulties and issues simultaneously, as one does. Okay, so this is... I mean, there is not much quartz in here, that's for sure. It's doing its best just to keep up. I sure hope we don't need to add... We probably will, I guess, need to add more quartz in to the overall system in order to keep up. But that's fine, we can grab that from somewhere else and just send it to the distributor. Like, 2 impures isn't great, but these ones up here, we've got 2 normals. 2 normals should be plenty of additional quartz. Actually, this area up here would have also been a great spot to build this factory, because we've got copper, deuterium, quartz. Although the water is a little bit more complicated because it's a river and not like an entire ocean. So that would be a little bit less convenient. But it would still mostly be fine. So yeah, that's going to be something we do in the future. For now, let's just drop back down to here to get working on this. Oh, I need to swap to jetpack mode so that we don't go splat. And we land safely. And I need to grab... No, not rocket fuel. I need to grab a stack of ionized fuel so that we don't ever run out of that. Okay, so back to what we're doing. We have raw quartz here, and hopefully enough of it So, the next thing we need is the Caterium and the copper. So, I guess this quartz supply is going to be running off of this foundation and just sort of over this way through space to get to... Because we want to build the actual production area near the water, if at all possible. So this comes down this way. Let's grab a power line so that we can bring that along with us, so that we can hover pack, which will make building and everything a whole lot easier. So this just goes along and just keeps going. Okay, so let's actually grab the copper and Caterium and bring it with us. Alright, I instantly forgot to bring the power line as soon as I stopped dragging that belt. Alright, power line goes this way. And it should... the Caterium should just be in here, right? Pretty sure this is like one of the spots where I've done early game starter Caterium a couple times. Alright, so power is out to here. Now we blow up a rock and we get a Caterium mine. There we go, rock blown up. And miner Mark III goes in. Powered, and I mean, this is already enough Caterium. We don't even need to overclock it. We only need 150 Caterium ore. So, the next thing we need is, I guess, we just bring this... we bring this back over to where we were, so that we can just bring both of those together and then do the same thing with the copper. Bring that over to the same general area as all the others. Okay, so now this slopes down, and there we go. Now we have Caterium, and we have quartz. So next up is going to be the copper, which should be just up there. Let's grab that power line, bring us up this way. And is the copper going to be up here, or is it going to be down a level? It is up here. Okay, we have to get rid of the junk on top of it, which I always feel like there has to be a better way of doing than just manual mining. But, like, explosives don't work, and I don't know what else would. Alright. Miner Mark III on the copper. Where'd that power pole we were dragging? There it is. So that goes on to that. And we need 222 copper. This gives us 240. That's plenty. So now we just bring this over here. And ooh, we're out of range of power, barely. Okay, so let's just bring that forwards a little bit, so we don't have problems with that. And then we bring all these down to the ocean, do some smelting, bring them back up, and profit. So this can just pop down a couple belts in a row. We have power down here already because we are using that cave for various reasons. So now we just bring these belts along. That goes down that way. This moves along this way. And we just keep on going. And This one gets Mark 5 belts. Got to use the right speed of belts for all of these. And then the copper has to apparently go down one more level. That's fine. So you just go down a little bit more like that. And okay, now we are basically at the water. So at this point, it doesn't really make sense to keep going down. I think we just pop a foundation in here and extend it across. And let's get this stuff built up. Okay, so this is going to be our starting foundation for this. It's just gonna be something like that. It's kind of scuffed, but whatever. So we just need a whole bunch of refineries here to make pure variants of quartz crystals, deuterium ingots, and copper ingots. Okay, so let's get those in. Refineries. Where's my just like what I need? A solid and a fluid. Is this good? So we have a solid and a fluid input and a solid output. Yes, this is the correct thing. So how many refineries do we need? If we max overclock them, they're 2.5 this. So this would be like 10 effective. So we need 2 blocks of them for the quartz and the copper, and just 1 block for the deuterium. Okay, that should be easy enough. So we get that in. And let's get some extra space in over this way. And honestly, this should already be plenty of room. So we have, this one can be the deuterium, I guess. And that was this block here. Then we have this one, which, all right, we line up something like this for space reasons. And then you go there, and default auto connect. So you then do something like that. And then let's blow up these mushroom things and get another row of those in. There we go. All right. So then we get this blueprint in, and we have to make sure to leave enough space, which is definitely more than that. So then you just go in there, and then we get another one in this vicinity, like that, I think. Okay, so this should be all the refineries we need for this first row. So we have this one is going to get, oh, it already has the pure deuterium recipe, that's convenient. We need 75 total, and that 75 divided by 4 is just a little bit more than 1 power shard. There we go, pure deuterium set. And is this powered? How's, oh, that's connected along to there, right? Okay. So then we just connect you up into that, and we grab our deuterium belt, and it just goes in like so. Very simple. Done. Next we have our quartz and copper. So quartz, we need 600 raw quartz, which is a little bit more than 75 deuterium, but it's a lot cheaper too. So pure quartz crystals give you power shards, and you are 600 divided by 8 is 75. Okay, we don't need quite so many power shards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That last one didn't paste properly. Okay, now hopefully we have enough room to do the world's most simple 1 to 2 split. And yeah, we should have enough room. So we pop that in. And let's see, I think these need to be Mark 4s there and there. And then let's see here. These ones are 96 raw quartz each, so all of these belts, every single one, needs to be Mark 2. So let's get all those in. And then these ones are going to need to be Mark 3s. And then these ones are already Mark 4s. We got that in. Okay, so now we bring this belt along to here. And okay, actually we want this to be pointing the other way, just so that the input can be in a more convenient position for us to connect to. So we just do that. And like that. Quartz, check. Okay, quartz should be in. Obviously we need to connect the water up. And then last but not least, the copper. We need to get you set to pure copper. Right there, and then we need 180 plus 375. Why is this so complicated? 555 divided by 8. 555 divided by 8. There we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So yeah, that should be all set. And now we get these powered up. And let's see, how many inputs are these? 27 each. Okay, so that makes the splitting easy. We just need these ones to be Mark 2s. And then the input is a Mark 3, as we already knew. So let's grab this, and it's going to have to go all the way across the rest of them. Could have done this in a more convenient order. Oh well. Okay, so we need somewhere for it to land once it's all the way over here. So it just goes like that, and then down and into there. Alright, so that is copper in. Now we need to do the water. So let's start by just simply connecting all of these water pipes across back this way. And now we need 728 water, which is a little bit more than a single pipe. And it should be easily manageable by just spamming 2 pipes worth of water in, basically. So we are going to get water extractor 1 and 2. And these are aligned strangely, but whatever. Alright, so all these water extractors are in. Now we just overclock them to give us all the water that we could ever need. And paste those settings across. There we go. So this is going to be like 1200 water, which is more than we need, which is the best way to do it with water, unless it's like incredibly precise for whatever reason. Sometimes you want to be more specific about how much water you send in. This is not one of those times. So you just go into there. You just go into there. And so this internal row here will be sort of the end. So let's just have you also connect in like that. And then, okay, weird things might happen. They also might not happen. We have enough slack that even if it does weird loop back problems, it should still be fine. Okay, so this power pole needs to be upgraded ever so slightly. And there we go. I think the head lift for these guys should be enough. It might be a little bit close. Okay, let's... No, getting valves in will mess with the head lift a little bit, actually. We don't want that. Unless it actually shows to be a problem. I'd much rather just keep things unvalved and just sort of flowing however it wants to flow. Alright, so this isn't going anywhere. And that's showing a flow rate of 0. This might be flowing. Alright, these ones over here are getting water. These ones over here aren't. So I don't know what's up with that. Okay, no. There is some water that's made it through here. Okay, let's just toss a pipe on. Just a Mark 1 pump to make sure that there's no funny business with that. And then you also get a Mark 1 pump that also connects up to there. So now we definitely have enough head lift. And it's now just a matter of where exactly the water wants to go to. Alright, so that is all of that done already. That went much more smoothly than I was expecting, to be honest. So we've got copper, check. We've got quartz crystals, check. We've got deuterium ingots, check. Okay, so now let's add another floor up here. So this... Actually, do these combine in any meaningful way? Yes, we make fused quick wire out of all of the deuterium and a big chunk of the copper. But the rest of this just sort of goes forwards. So let's just combine these up and then bring them up to the proper factory floor up near the top, where we still need to actually set up the trains. I should have done that in advance. Ah, well. Okay, so the deuterium output is 175, so this can be a Mark II belt. There we are. Then the quartz crystal output is 600, which means we do need to upgrade this to be fast enough. It was Mark IV, now it's Mark V, and then the individual machine outputs also need to be upgraded, because they're 75 each. Alright, so we have that going through, and then we can just bring this up to here. No, not a weird 1 meter up thing, just normal floor. Okay, so that goes up, and this can connect up to there, like so. Now the copper, these also need to get Mark II belts out of these. And I think we just determined that the total output was like 555 or something. So these also barely need to be Mark V belts. So let's get those in. And then we just need to bring the floor along to this area. So it's going to be somewhere in that vicinity. Just build a nice wide floor so that nothing weird happens. Let's cut that back so that this can fit in with the pipes. And floor hole. And connected. There we go. So that is everything. Let's just make sure I didn't forget that upgrade. No, all the upgrades are good. Okay, so now these are all up here. And we can set up sinks in to make sure that everything works out properly. So let's just get the space for that, and then each of these is going to have an awesome sink, just sort of roughly aligned up with their output, which just goes something like that, and then this one will get it in here somewhere. Alright, so let's make sure that there's enough room for everything, and then that sink goes in. Okay, so that's all in. Now we get, this is the Caterium, which is Mark II, and you get a sink, which you can go into, and then we need to get a power pole up on this floor, and connect it down to something. Okay, so that belt was the wrong speed. All the rest of this should be fine. Okay, Mark II belts up to there. You're all good. Now we get these ones. So you get a smart splitter with a Mark V belt. There you are. And there you go. And you get connected up as well while we're at it. Now we get this one. So the copper connects into there. Didn't leave myself a huge amount of room here, but there is enough. Okay, so that is everything. Now we should run back here to check how the quartz is doing, to see if it ever got that excess buildup that we wanted it to have. So let's move on over this way and back into range of a power pole so we can fly again. So we want to see that there is like some quartz in that buffer chest. Otherwise, things could get weird. Yeah, so there's none. So I'm not convinced that this has ever run, which is not good. So we're definitely going to need to supplement the quartz supplies. But again, in the short term, actually no, we should go do that now before we get too ahead of ourselves with other stuff. Let's respawn, and I believe the quartz hub is still in this general area. I don't think that's one of the ones that we've moved yet. So let's run over this way and see if we can spot the quartz hub. Water distributor, water hub, yeah, we don't use that for anything. Oil, we occasionally use. And there's Caterium, which, again, occasionally use it. Try to avoid when possible. Okay, here's the quartz hub, which does have trains doing train things in it. Now this is an unbuffered hub, which I kind of distinctly dislike. So this is the Northwest Quartz train, and I think that might be still the only actual source of quartz in this entire thing. Okay, yeah, so we're going to need to, first of all, get buffers into this so that it actually works properly. So, industrial storage buffer number 1 in. Number 2 in. To make sure that it's all connected up and everything. So this ensures that the quartz can flow through at a fast rate round the clock, regardless of what the trains are doing. Well, almost regardless of what the trains are doing. It's still possible to break, but it's harder at least. There we go. And then we have to get this one. And the fact that I'm doing these like in a row, and the front ones have had a long time to get set up by this point, might have weird consequences, but hopefully nothing too significant. So then this goes along and is all good. Alright, so that is that. So now we can do this whole buffering thing, and it's weird, the one in the front has a much bigger buffer built up, but all of these ones are filtering all the way through. So we pretty clearly just need to add more quartz into our overall supply. Okay, so that's through. All the buffering is done. This was pretty close after the first one. Is this also? Yeah, it's also Northwest Quartz. It's just a pretty quick turnaround, I guess. So that's fine. And I believe, though, that is the only source of quartz in the entire factory. Which, again, we need to fix that. Because I think we actually just straight up don't have enough quartz, although it's close. But I'm not confident that we have enough quartz to supply all of our demand. So that is going across, no problem. So we just need to figure out this northeast spot is the best one, right? We've also got that one in, which we can tap as well. But that's sort of in a busy area, whereas this northeast is very conveniently isolated. And there's nowhere else, like, is this normal, impure, pure? So I guess this is technically the best spot, right? So let's head down there, sort of west of the blue crater. Yeah, let's do that. So that'll add 1900 on. It'll almost, but not quite, double. Alright, let's respawn. It's only like 5 feet away, but it's still faster. So that should not quite, but almost double our quartz supply, which should pretty decisively take the pressure off of the northwest quartz supply. So we just go down here, and I guess this is going to be the closest train tracks to where we're going. So yeah, it's just a little bit south of us here. Okay, it's this way. A little bit further east. Doesn't really matter the exact like coordinates of where we're going here, but somewhere in this ballpark. So we add our block of foundations on, then we pop a two-way rail in. Now we just need all of this to connect up to the train network. So we get the intersection in like that. Okay. Now we need a path signal going in, block signal going out. Then you become a path signal, and you become a path signal. And now we're all good. Okay, so now we just have to set this to blueprint auto connect mode, go down a couple steps, shouldn't need to be that many, just down this way a little bit. That ought to be good enough already. Now we pop our blueprints in for the foundation. And now we build a train station. So we get train station there. Railway connects that up. So this is going to be southern quartz. And then you need to have freight platforms. 1, 2, 3. And let's get more foundation blueprints in. 4 and 5. And I guess we need like one more foundation blueprint in for this to go into the train tracks. So this curves out this way. Apparently that's as sharp as it'll go there. And then it curves back this way. And then it goes around like that. And then need to pull that back a little bit and connect it into there. Okay, now let's just make this its own separate block. Just so that it is. Alright, so we are going to have 1200, 600, 300. So that's 1900. So we're gonna want to do this evenly 5 ways, I think, just to prevent weirdness. So we start with a 2 to 5 balancer. I guess we start with the buffer chests. That's going to be step 1, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more. 5. Okay, so buffer chests are in. Now we make sure that they are connected. So this all gets connected up. So now we have this. So if we just do a 2 to 5 splitter here, and then a 3 to 2 balancer, and then we should be good to go. Actually, it can just be a 2 to 2 balancer. We can merge the normal and the impure up preemptively. So yeah, let's go. 2 to 5 splitters are just, they should be able to be made just by modifying this, I think. So pop you in. So this is currently being fed from one input right here. Now, if we go to default dismantle mode, take that input out, and we just feed 2 evenly balanced things into those 2. So let's drag the belts out so that we can see. This is our 2 to 5 splitter. Now we just connect this up to all of these. Like that. Okay, now I once again am regretting the fact that I never actually built a 2 to 2 balancer blueprint, right? If we go to blueprint and I type in the number 2, I have a 2 to 3 splitter. And yep, no 2 to 2 balancer blueprints. That's still fine though, it's like relatively easy to make. So we get a merger there, and splitters there and there. And then we get another merger up there. So then this all combines up into those 2 as well. And then this one, no, it doesn't connect up to that. You go away. You need to go up a level. Can I yoink a conveyor pole for this, actually? So you go up to there. And then across to there. And then down. And then we can remove that conveyor pole because it's in the way. Connect that across. Bam. 2 to 2 balancer. Very cool. So this should then distribute its stuff evenly into all of those. And all we need is to just connect into here. So those will go down, and now we have to actually find the quartz and hope that it isn't like concealed in a cave, impossible to find. Do we have power in this area? We do. There's some stuff right over there. Okay. So let's just bring belts down and not worry about the power just yet. Alright. We're gonna swap to jetpack mode. And just keep on bringing these lifts down. And we really hardly need to use the jetpack at all, just to keep our fall relatively controlled while we build all this stuff down. Okay. So we just keep going. A little bit more. Oh, we're probably like 3/4 of the way down by this point. And we're just heading on down towards the ground level. Alright, now we're basically here. So we just need to get this last drop to be a little bit more precise. Go down like that, and then you can come down like that. Alright, so that is all that. Now we just need to find the quartz. There's one. There's a second. And the third. Where's the third? Is the third going to be a problem? Okay, the third is... There's two in front of me. That one. And... I don't know. I'm losing track of which ones I've seen and which ones I haven't at this point. Okay, so let's just get miners on these. So you get a miner. You get a miner. And where is the third one? It should be, I guess, just over here. Yeah, up on this ledge. So you get a miner as well. Okay. So, those are all set up. We just need to connect them up to the power lines. And where'd the third go? These things are so insanely difficult to find in this obnoxious jungle-y type area. Okay, the third one is up there. So now at least we have this power line here, which we can follow to it. Now, where are we going? So our closest supply of stuff is southeast, right? Southeast, yes. So let's head down this way, and I guess upgrade that power pole so we can drag the power off to the southeast in search of this sulfur area. Okay, you can even see the radar tower over the trees and everything. So this should be just about there. Okay, now we just need to find a power pole to connect to. There we go. Mission accomplished. This is all connected up. And that should be a good solid supply of quartz. Okay, so now we just fly back to here. And now we get to try to track down where we left our conveyor belts. There they are, up that way. Okay, let's get these all together first. So 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so we're going to want to overclock these and figure out which one's which. So this one is the pure node, and these two are the less than pure nodes. So these two combine up. So you two go into there. And now let's also get them overclocked. And then also get this one overclocked. And then we won't have to spend much time in this jungle once this is done. So that is overclocked. Those two are combined up. And our lifts are back this way, apparently. So let's bring that up to there. And apparently that belt just doesn't need to exist there at all. This belt loops around this way. Alright, so now we have a belt of 900 and a belt of 1200. We just have to bring the two of them up to our lifts and then just connect a train up. So you go in there. You go in there. And that should be all good. So everything down here should be done, right? We didn't miss anything important. I don't think so. Alright, so now we can get up out of that horrible jungle and up into an area where things make sense and you can actually see things more than 5 feet away. So we fly up this way and we just keep hover packing up a little bit more, land on this one, up a little bit more, and lag spike. Thank you very much, very cool. And we just keep going up. Okay, almost at the top. The quartz will have long since beaten us up there by the time we get to it, which is fine. Okay, so now we're up here, and we can now just make our way the rest of the way up to the top, and just visual check, make sure this is all working properly. Go back to hover pack mode for that. Yep, that looks properly balanced. And these guys are starting to fill up. So now we get the train placed in. Train, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freight cars. And you get to be Southern Quartz. And now if you just type in quartz, you are going to go to Southern Quartz and wait until full, I think. And wait for 0 seconds maybe. And then you go to Quartz Hub, save, turn on, and that should have us all cleared. So now we've got all this, and it doesn't look like we're having issues here. I guess we should check to just confirm that these are the correct speeds. So throughput monitor on you, throughput monitor on you, they should show what, it's 1900, so it should be 1900 divided by 2, 950 each. They're showing more than that, probably because of the slightly buffered quartz in the machines. But the important thing is they're not showing less than that, so no problem there. As long as we have a good solid amount of quartz flowing through, and that is perfectly good. Alright, so somehow these are both showing 1,000, which I don't know how they're managing that. Probably will stop in a little bit, unless my math is wrong, it's not 1900. Which should be 1200 plus 600 plus 300. Hang on. No, wait, it's 2100, isn't it? Right, it's 2100. I was thinking 1000 plus 600 plus 300, but it's definitely not. It doesn't change anything. It still fits properly, but yeah, 2100. So these should be technically just slightly higher than 1000. It should be like 1050 in theory, which they aren't showing, so I don't know what's up with that, but let's see, did I make any mistakes considering that? No, neither of these should be more than 1200, so it should still work out the same. This left one is like dramatically less than the right one. Did I forget to overclock something maybe? Because it should be a little bit less, but not that much less. Alright, so let's drop down to here and just confirm this max overclocked, and then we go back to these ones. You are max overclocked and you are max overclocked. Yes. So that should indeed be 2100 quarts per minute. It's pretty dang solid. And once those deliveries start showing up, the northwest quartz should have a lot less demand correspondingly, unless it works out in a weird way where the northwest quartz magically gets priority somehow, which I don't think should happen. It's going to be a little bit weird, basically, because I don't have like perfect control over which train gets priority, which could cause weird things to happen, but probably will be fine. Okay, so let's jetpack all the way back up to the top. And let's see, how many can I go? 3 lifts without stopping. Yes, I can. There we go. So now we should be able to just easily make our way the rest up to here. And these are still showing 1,000 flat. So I still don't know how they've managed to misplace 100 per minute. And it's got to be something to do with like how this splitting is happening. But I don't fully understand it. It's probably fine though. Oh, is it something to do with this loop back? I bet it's something to do with the loop back. So this is 1,000 a minute going in here. Now this, let's say this is 1,200 a minute. Then we have 400 looping back. Yes, so that's what's happening. The loop back is constraining it a little bit. That's annoying. Because normally we don't do 2 to 5 splitters, so normally it's a 1 to 5 splitter and then this system works properly. But not in this case. So now the fun question of how do we fix that? How do we get this? I guess we need this to input into each of the outputs individually. It's kind of scuffed, but I guess that's what we need to do. Okay, wait, I see an easy-ish way of doing that. So first we disconnect those two, and that's gonna cause weird ratios to happen, which is not ideal. Okay, so then we go a wall up. And yeah, so this is what we could have done, is we could have just done 2 1 to 5 splitters on each belt individually, and it would be fine. But what we're doing here is even more cursed than that. So we take this, we pop you into there. Now we have to hope that this placement is correct. So if you go up there, if you go up there, is that a good spot to access? Yes, it is. So then this loops around to there. And then each of these just independently goes into one of these. And so now, yeah, now this is already showing 1,050 going through. And I think these rightward ones are going to fill up slightly sooner, but I don't think that really matters. Okay, so the train has left, by the way. I'm not sure when that happened, but apparently it had enough of all this stuff and is good. Alright, back here, this is still showing 1,050 each. Yep, it is. It's kind of weird how quickly that happened. You'd expect it to be some brief period where it was faster than normal to make up for the slight buffers, but apparently not. Alright, so this is all good now, and it's already filling up quite well for the next batch, and yeah, as we expected, there's a little bit more in the first couple than there are in the last couple, but that shouldn't be an issue. That should just wash out over time. Okay, so now we can respawn and make our way up to the quartz distributor to see what's going on with that. And unfortunately, this is a bit of a walk. I could not make this more compact or close to the hub in any way. I mean, I definitely could have, but I didn't think of it at the time. Speaking of which, limestone looks very sketch. We're gonna have to do something about that pretty soon. For now, we ignore it though, because it doesn't have anything to do with the factory we're currently working on, and I think it also doesn't have anything to do with power. It might actually feed the power plants. I can't remember for sure. It's probably fine though. Alright, so back over to the quartz, and I think that was the southern quartz train leaving just now. And yeah, this is really getting fully saturated here. It's not perfectly balanced. I think because the northwest quartz isn't perfectly balanced. But it is completely filling up the output. And the buffer chests are also completely filled now. At least that one is. This one. The center one was a bit further behind, so it's got a bit more work to go. But once that is through, we should definitely have enough quartz. We should definitely have enough quartz that the northwest quartz will be able to stop by, not deliver everything, and then have that demand decrease. So power shards are coming here to pick up quartz now. Good for them. That is something directly related to the factory we're doing right now, so that's good to see that it's getting a full set of equipment. Now, when is the next train coming along? So if we check here, the outer two rows are completely filled up 100%. The inner three are a lot worse. And the southern quartz is perfectly balanced. The northwest quartz isn't. So that'll be a bit of a competition between the two of them, I guess. But either way, we have plenty to keep this all filled up. As long as we keep getting new trains in. I wish there was something like in Factorio where you could see like all the trains relevant to a station and where they are, what they're doing. That would be real convenient. I see another quartz-related train over there. Yeah, the amount of quartz we use is not small, but it's also not enormous, so we should be fine. The center trains are all out already, although we should still be able to fill up the outgoing platforms, but we are emptying the buffers for them. These ones are doing much better. Okay, so we do have a bit of a traffic problem here. It's probably fine, though. Probably fine. I mean, they are moving. They're not stuck. It's just a whole bunch of trains all in one spot, basically. Okay, so this... I really want to see the northwestern quartz come and not deposit everything, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen unless timing works out really specifically for it. So, yeah, so the outer rows, we might get a bit of a buy on those. But the inner ones are definitely struggling, because they're only getting fed by Southern, basically. There's more Criterion demand going through, all sorts of stuff going on with all these trains. It's kind of crazy in here. It's been a while since I've seen any train get to the quartz side of things. So I think that might be Northwestern Quartz coming back. Yeah, it is. It's so hard to see with the compass. That was an awful sneeze. That sneeze still knocked me for like 5 seconds. Okay. So yeah, this is Northwest Quartz, and it is coming in. It's got full, mostly full, mostly full, full, and full. So it's actually pretty well balanced. And there we go. There goes a whole lot of that stuff. So we're definitely keeping all of this filled. So now it's just a question of, do we have enough surplus? And I think we definitely should. I can't imagine, like, we were definitely on the edge before, but we added like 1,900 in, almost, no, 2,100 in, almost doubled it, our total production. So we should be more than fine by this point. At this point, it's just mostly a matter of like how the timing lines up more than anything else. Alright, that's all good. These are gonna fill up. Is that another quartz-related train, or is that a Caterium-related train? I think that's a Caterium-related train. It's just trying to get past this area. It's so hard to tell what on earth is going on with the trains. There's just too many of them. There's just way too many of them. There's a bauxite train going by. There's the Southern Quartz train back there, and it's got what looks to be a full load. Hopefully. Although that might be back at its starting point, actually. Let's get trains on the map so that I can see what they're doing. Show on map. So yeah, that's Southern Quartz coming up there. So that should be fine if that's how long it takes. It's a supply of Caterium showing up. Yeah, I think Quartz should be fine now. Hopefully. We don't have much buffers in these freight platforms, but I think that's just a matter of like how long it takes things to show up. Okay, what's that train? Is that's plutonium quartz, I think. So it's just gonna grab a little bit because it runs continually, so that there's never a major deficit. There's never a period where there's like a long time where there's not much plutonium and the train isn't actively getting more. I don't even know if that helps at all, but it's what we're doing. So that is doing its thing. It also just helps make sure that this gets priority on any quartz that shows up, just in case we are low. That is just going to grab the tiniest little bit and then all fill up. We have 2 quartz left over in this freight platform. That's hilarious. Out of the literally thousands moving through here, we're left with exactly 2 to spare. Okay, I think I see another incoming quartz train for high-speed connector. Oh, but Southern Quartz is going to make it in first, I think. Probably. It's hard to tell exactly where all these trains are. There's Southern Quartz there. Where'd that high-speed connector? Oh, it's way back on like the main line. Whereas that train right there is the quartz supply coming in. Okay, so that's pretty good. That should give us big buffers on all of these, even the center one, which is struggling the most. Because yeah, you have a full car, except for that for some reason. You have a full car, so you can show up, deliver all that quartz in, and quartz supply is definitely good now, because before we added that in, like, we didn't even have full containers here. Now we have so much buffer. Oh, and is that Northwest Quartz coming in right now? That's Northwest Quartz 2, which apparently exists. So it is going to show up and not deliver much of anything, which is huge. And the reason that's great is because it means that the Northwest Quartz supply itself won't need to deliver it, won't need to refill the stuff that this grabs, which means we can start getting that surplus to send in to the Superposition Oscillator factory. And it also just means that we have plenty of quartz, which is always nice. High-speed connector quartz shows up basically just in time to miss this. So that's fine. So off you go. And right now that is out. We have full buffers across the board just moments before the high-speed connector train shows up. Okay, can I just hop into this train? Because I think I'm done monitoring the quartz situation. It's definitely good now. So we can ride this back and... Okay, can we get into a straight area where I can just get into the locomotive itself? So we can just ride this back to the quartz supply and then see what's going on over there. By this point, hopefully we will start filling up the excess quartz buffers on that side. Oh right, the camera is weird here because these trains are double floored. Alright, so this just goes through. What's good? I don't know. This game is pretty good. We're making progress on our Superposition Oscillator factory. That's pretty cool. Okay. So we just have to take this train along. How's the streaming going? The stream is going pretty good. Having a lot of fun playing the game. And we're making good progress. Okay, so this train goes along here. I'm streaming on PC. I don't really do console stuff much. Alright, so we just have to take this train all the way up to the Northwest Quartz area, which should be where it's going, right? I don't know why it's heading west. I guess this is just the fastest route. Alright, so this, I assume we're going to be turning north at this point. I typically play factory building games like this one. So I play Satisfactory on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Factorio on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Alright, so we are almost there, towards the Northwest Quartz. Have you ever played GTA 5? No, I have not. Not super interested in that sort of game. So we just keep on going until we get there. Almost up to the northwest quartz area, and then we can just check to make sure that that's all working properly. I typically play RPGs, like specifically factory building games are my favorite, but RPGs in general are also pretty good. Alright, so now we are here. And so now we can just drop down to ground level and see how the quartz supply is doing. Actually, we should be able to check from up here. So this train will go in. We'll grab some of this stuff. And we're still completely tapping out this entire area, but it should be leaning against that for a little bit now. The quartz supply is still not had any chance to breathe, really. So this is going to fill up and leave plenty of spare. And that should be good. I've been streaming on Twitch for a good while at this point. I don't know exactly how long, but maybe a year? Maybe 2 years? I don't know. I don't keep track of those things, really. Okay, so that is going through. And thank you for the follow. Alright. So this needs to fill up, and then we need all of these guys to also fill up, so that's going to take an absolute eternity for any of that to happen. Yeah, it's going to be quite a while before these buffers fill up, even assuming that they are mostly saturated and not outputting much. It's gonna take a lot of work to get them all filled. And we need to get them all filled before we start doing this. So this quartz line takes like from the excess of anything that doesn't go into the train station. Yeah, that's unsurprising. Alright. So that is going. So, right, so these take from the excess that doesn't go into the train station, which means that we need the train station to completely fill up before we get the quartz for this, which means we're going to be waiting for a while. Now, I guess I just like have random quartz in my inventory. I can throw that in there to cheat a little bit and make it go the tiniest bit faster. But it's not going to do all that much ultimately. Although we are getting pretty good on filling this second freight platform. And likewise over here. So we are definitely making progress on filling those buffers. Okay, so while we're here, we should go over and do something productive instead of just staring at numbers going up. I do love staring at numbers going up, but there is actually stuff to get done. So this area still needs to get finished. So step one is to go and get some block signals in here. 1, 2, and 3 of those. Then we need to bring all of this forwards. And then loop you over to this way. So this goes on over. Okay, now we have to get these tracks in. So this just should go across like that. And like that. And then that connects up to there. Now each of these can attach in to these tracks. Okay, now we just get the block signals in so that this is all set up to work properly at the train station. There we go. Now all of these need to be set to unload. And unload, 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 and unload. And then we do the same thing for all of these guys. There we go. And then we do the same thing for all of these guys. Alright, so these are now all set to unload, which is good. Now they need to get their own trains in. So we get electric locomotive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freight cars, and this is rubber. So you are superposition rubber. Edit timetable, superposition rubber, rubber output, and you go here until fully loaded or unloaded, and wait 0 seconds. Path is invalid. Okay, no, it figured it out. It figured it out eventually, apparently. Don't know what that was all about, but whatever. So then we get to do the same thing with plastic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you get to be superposition plastic and superposition plastic, plastic output. Stay here until fully loaded or unloaded and wait for 0 seconds. There we go. Path is invalid, and then you immediately figure it out. Cool. And then we just need aluminum, and I sure hope we actually have enough of all of these. We only need like 500 and some aluminum, which is not a small amount. It's not like a full belt though. Was one of you lit? No, this is the one which was just labeled train because I haven't labeled it yet. So you are superposition aluminum. Edit timetable, search aluminum, aluminum ingot output. Actually, probably aluminum output 2 and superposition aluminum. And you go here until fully loaded or unloaded and wait for 0 seconds. And off you go. You didn't have trouble making a path for whatever reason. So that's nice. Okay. So those are all set out and ready to go. Now, the only thing remaining that we need are the dark matter crystals. So let's get a couple drone ports in for that. And you rotated weirdly. So you rotated this way, you rotated this way, and then we need one for refueling, so let's get that in. So you are superposition refueler, and I guess we should get you set up and running immediately so that you don't have to wait as long for that. So you get a drone and you go to rocket fuel source, and that should be that. Now you get to refuel there, and you get to refuel to there. And that should keep us out of the way of all of these outputs. So then you are superposition dark matter. And you are going to dark matter source. And you get powered up, and you get a drone. Then you are superposition dark matter 2, and you are going to NQP dark matter output, and you get powered, and you get a drone. Okay, so now this drone will come back, deliver the rocket fuel, power these guys up, and they'll get their dark matter out. Okay, so that's all that. Now we just need to get the rubber and plastic down, and those can just merge up real easy with just a line of mergers here. You don't need to go down a level to do anything fancy because it's only like a couple hundred of each. Alright, so this is aluminum, which is 540, which means we need Mark V belts. So let's get those in all the way across all of these guys, and then back. Did I just hear a train, or am I hallucinating? I'm probably hallucinating. No, there is a train. Neat. Okay, so that is that one in, and now we need to... we did not leave much room for this, but fortunately we need almost no room. So this just gets its row of mergers. That got placed wrong. That got placed wrong again. Please just go in normally. There we go. And this is plastic, which means we need 210, which is just Mark III belts. So this fills all the way up, and then connects all the way back to here. And finally, rubber, which is on the other side of all this stuff. And we just need some mergers in for you. And Mark IV belts for these, because there's 420 of it. So these then all merge up like this. And let's make sure, actually we need to run through and make sure that all the other ones are connected up, because I often forget to do that. So we go back here. Yeah, all those belts are connected. All these ones are connected. Alright, so now we just take the dark matter, and you are also going to need to connect up the two of these. So how much dark matter is this going to be total? Like maximum 200 and some. Let's go with Mark IV just in case I did the math wrong just there. Okay, so you rotate like that. Then you go up and across and then down, and then that one combines in as well. So this drone... oh, I never started you up. We need to give you more rocket fuel to actually go places. Not ionized fuel, that could cause problems. Alright, so that is now properly taking off. It'll be a good chunk of time before anything happens with that, but not in a huge rush. Okay, so then these are all going to go down a floor. And let's just combine those up. And we're just going to build out the floor below us and then call it a day, because it is right about when I normally wrap up the stream. So we just get this. And all of those go down. I just realized I don't think I put fast enough belts on the aluminum. So this was Mark 4, which is faster than it needs to be. This one needs to be Mark 5, right? Because it's 540 aluminum. Okay, so that is all set up. And now we just drop down a floor. And it doesn't need to be an especially tall floor. Actually, do we want to do stuff on this floor as well? There are like no refineries in this whole thing, right? Just assembler. Well, we've already done all the refineries, is what I'm saying. Yeah, just assemblers and everything. So we can make this like a short-ish floor. We still want to leave some room, obviously, just to have enough headroom to not be super cramped. If we want to go up half a floor for whatever reason, which we frequently want to. But we don't need the full 10. We don't need the full 10 walls in order to have enough space here, I think. Okay, so this floor goes in. We expand all of this across. And now we can start bringing these things down. So this, I believe, is the aluminum. This one back here is the dark matter. And this one should be the plastic. And then this one all the way over here, which we need to add a couple more foundations over to get to. This one is the rubber. Okay, so we have all of these guys down. Now, what we want some industrial storage containers in here, just so that we have some sort of buffer. Right, we don't need a massive buffer, but just something to feed us while the train stations are unloading. And these can all go in like that, and then the dark matter crystals, they don't even need a big one. They could just have a small one there. Okay. So we have our buffers. So we've got all that stuff. So I guess the next step is, so we need to bring the resources up from all the way down at ground level where we did the refinery stuff. Then we just have to make all clad sheets and fused quick wire. Then take that fused quick wire, make plastic AI limiters, make crystal oscillators, and then throw a whole bunch of stuff together and get superposition oscillators. So we're going to wrap up the stream here for today. Thanks for hanging out. I've had a lot of fun. Unless things take dramatically longer than I'm anticipating, we might just straight up finish this factory on Thursday, which is crazy considering how long the neural quantum processors took. But we might just straight up finish this factory on Thursday, and that would be cool. If not, we'll probably get very close. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks for hanging out. Had a good amount of fun here. So we will be doing Factorio again tomorrow, where we are continuing to bash our head against the wall of legendary quality, but you know, the wall is getting a bit dented. I can see the way forwards for that. So if you're interested in Factorio, make sure to stop by for that. Otherwise, we'll be back in Satisfactory on Thursday. So yeah, make sure to follow if you haven't already. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, and alternating between Satisfactory and Factorio. So, yeah, that's about it. Stop by in the future if you're interested, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.